the agency in front of my house. So it's a real, how you say, a realtor? Real estate. So when I moved to Portugal 10 years ago, I was in Oeiras the first year, so it was kind of easy. I got my apartment through a friend that was into real estate. So, and the owner of the place was her friend, so it was kind of easy. And when I visited the apartment, I just did a show. The apartment was beautiful, 70 meters of terrace in front of the sea, 70 meter of apartment. I think it was 100 meter of terrace, 70 meter apartment. The only problem was there was one room, and my son at that time used to live in Congo, but every time he would come, he would have to stay in the living room, or he would have to take the room and I stay in the living room. So to me, I was always like, I don't know how long I'm going to stay in this apartment, but I need at least, with one kid at that time, I need at least 2 bedrooms. And things were fine. It was all cool. And after 1 year or 6 months, I don't remember, but when I arrived, I met the owner. She liked me, I liked her, in like as a tenant and a landlord. And like when I asked how much was the rent, I was shocked, because for Portugal it was expensive, but for me in France, for all that, the cost was nothing. And I just did a show, so I brought her, like, I think I had cash with me, 3 or 4 months of rent, and I told her, hey, listen, if you if we accept to sign this contract together, I'll just give you 4 months, 2 months of guarantee plus the first 2 months of rent, and by the time I go to Paris, once we sign our deal, I'll wire you a whole year of rent. And so for her, like, perfect tenant. And but after some time, because of her work and whatever that happened in her life, she needed to either sell the apartment or go back inside of the apartment. So I ended up having to move because I could have bought that one. That was a nice place, but yeah, there was only one room. It would have cost more money to just take a little bit of the terrace out, make more rooms, etc. Like really change it inside, and I just moved in. So I decided to move not far from Lisbon. And there's a neighborhood that I always wanted to live called Parque das Nações, which is like a very fancy neighborhood. A lot of it's I don't know if it's the most expensive neighborhood in Lisbon, but it's one of them. It's probably one of the top 5 neighborhoods. And everybody used to tell me it's super expensive to live there. So me, hey Trish, donc toi tu viens ici, tu dis bonjour à Trish, mais nous c'est la merde, quoi. Vraiment. Yeah, so I was saying, I'm here, and I really wanted to check this neighborhood out, and I was looking at the prices around here, and yeah, everything was more around, So in Paris, I used to pay 1,000 euros per month for a 50 meter square with 1 bedroom. And when I arrived here, the 100 meter terrace plus a 70 meter square apartment was only 750. And in like with sea view and a penthouse. So I was like, yo, that's amazing. So I didn't know when I moved here how much it would be in this neighborhood. But I didn't know actually. Because when I asked Portuguese friends, all they used to tell me was, it's too expensive, forget it. And me, I was like, what you mean it's too expensive? Like, can you give me like how much is it? But for them it was, no, it's too expensive, don't go there. You could live here. And me, I really like this neighborhood. Like, it's really like it's in front of the sea. No, not the sea, it's in front of the river. So you have like riverfront, you have restaurants, you have shopping center, you have beautiful hotels when you can have like sky bars, lounges, etc. This is really a place where I was like, this is my kind of place. This is a place that I could not afford in Paris, but here I could afford it. I mean, I didn't know. I was like, I have no idea how much is it, but I know that I'm already paying. I'm already paying $750 in the old apartment. I don't know, maybe it's 1,005, 1,000, I don't know. I knew I was trying to get something around 800. But I didn't know if 800 was too much, too little. But so I arrive in so I was looking for an agency, a real estate agency, so I can go there, visit, and ask them what do they have. Because you have to understand one thing. Every apartment that I lived in, the first one belonged to my mom. The second one, it was a friend that I knew that was renting her apartment. The second one, it was a friend of my sister who works in video. So it was not like guarantees, whatever. It was more on a trust thing. And then this one was the same thing. And when I arrived here, the last one, I was just paying 1 year of rent. So if you do a deal for a year and the tenant just pays 1 year or 6 months, as somebody who owns the apartment, I'm a great tenant. Like, usually I come, I tell, hey, listen, I will pay a whole year, and I will pay year per year. So for example, I think it was last week, I paid my 6 months for this place. But so I'm looking, and I was looking for what up, Danny? Even Cristiano has a house on your neighborhood. Yeah, he lives just across the street. I mean, I think his mom is there. I know which building it is, but he lives now in Marques Pombal. I mean, his new house. So I'm looking at agencies, and I see that there's an agency called Remax. And I'm like, okay, let me find the Remax. So I come here and I walk, and at the same time I'm visiting, like, okay, Vasco da Gama shopping. I see where we are, because I remember coming here in 2003 with my ex and my son. So I remember that place, and I was like, wow, I love this neighborhood. So we there walking, I'm walking, and I'm looking for the Remax agency, and I don't find it. So Parque das Nações is divided with the center, the north, and the south. And I think the agency I was looking for was in the south, but I went to the north. So I was walking, looking for the Remax. At a point, I see a Remax, but it was not the right one, and it was closed. So I go on the other side, and there's another agency called Era. And this one is actually, that was the street the street where I live now. So there was the agency, and I get in, I'm like, okay, I mean, it's not a Remax, but I guess it's the same thing, it's an agency. And there's this lady that greets me, and I'm like, hello, yes, I'm looking for a place, an apartment around here. And she's like, what's your budget? And I'm like, what do you want, and what kind of, And I tell her, oh, okay, I need 2 bedrooms. That's the minimum. I need 2 bedrooms. And she's like, what's your budget? And she tells me, no, she tells me, what's your budget? And I say, 800. 850. That's what I thought in my opinion. And she replies to me, there's nothing for you here. There's nothing for your budget here. I'm like, thank you. And I'm like, okay, can you tell me what are the prices around here for a 2-bedroom apartment? And she replies to me again, yeah, we don't have nothing for your budget. I'm like, wait a minute. I understand that for 800, you don't have nothing, but I would love to know how much it is for a 2-bedroom apartment, because maybe it's more, maybe I can. Like, you don't know what is my budget. I just told you that I wanted to spend 800, but listen, if it's 900 or 1,000, maybe, because I was always taking the taxi from Oeiras, which is the beach side, to Lisbon. I would do this like 3-4 times a week. So it would cost me 400 just in taxi every week. So if I live in Lisbon, I could use that taxi money and put it in the rent. But if I don't know how much are the rent in this area, I cannot say to myself. And I tell her, yeah, but can you tell me what are the price more or less? And she replies to me, nothing in your price range. And like, I didn't speak Portuguese at that time, so I only speak English. So I don't know exactly if she was aggressive or if she was whatever, but she seemed very like, don't waste my time. It's not a neighborhood for poor people here. Or maybe poor black people. I don't know. Listen, I don't know. But strange vibes. And I look at the girl, I'm the woman. I look at her and I'm like, yeah, listen, can you just tell me the price or give me a brochure? And she was like, thank you so much, thank you. And then she stand up, open the door, and yeah, show me the door. Bitch. I'm like, all right, you know what? Okay, interesting experience. So, I said to myself, well, you know what? Forget about it. I'm going to call my friend who find me the first place, and maybe she knows somebody who's more nice or whatever. At that time I didn't, and maybe somebody who speaks well English. I don't know. Listen. And I go back home. So I go back home to the beach side, Oeiras. I go to my penthouse. La go n'avait pas monté en deux, ma chère. Et so I go back, and I wouldn't say I was pissed, but I was like, why was she like so, she was strange. Like, she was, yeah, she took me from up there, like, listen, there's nothing in your price range here. I was like, all right, okay, listen, no problem. So I stay in the neighborhood. I walk a little bit. I check the neighborhood. I'm like, oh damn, I really like this place. Like, I walk in front of the water. I walk like 10 minutes. I see that I already am in the shopping center, etc. I see, like, I'm like, yo, I really like this place. All the restaurants, etc. I'm like, yo, this is a nice neighborhood. And I continue walking, and I realize that, I find the Remax agency that I wanted, but that agency was closed. So now that I know where it is, I know the address, and I'm like, you know what? I'm coming back tomorrow. I'll come back tomorrow and go in that agency. Maybe the person's gonna be nicer. Who knows? So call it, find it, get a taxi, go back to Owedash. Owedash was like half an hour from here. So I'm there, chilling. And the next day, I come back around here. And this time, I go to the agency that I know. So I get in the agency. Yeah, you don't need to say. So the next day, I come back. I get to the agency, the Remax, and I wait. So I'm waiting a little bit, and then there's a lady that comes. And she comes, she's very smiling, and she's like, "Oh, how can I help you?" I said, "Oh, I'm looking for a place." "Oh, come to my office." I come to her office, we start talking. So she's like, "Are you from here?" I said, "No, I've been here for 1 year, but I live in Paris, but now I live in Owedash, and I'm about to move next month. And yeah, I would like to find a place." And I'm telling her that I'm going to Thailand in a week, and I would love to visit some places when I come back. And I asked her, and she'd ask me, "What is your budget?" And I said, around 800. And she tells me maybe 850. And she tells me, "Darling, in this neighborhood, you're not gonna find a 2-bedroom apartment for that budget." And I'm like, "Okay, so how much is it more or less in this neighborhood?" And she tells me it's more around 900, 950, maybe 1,000. And I'm like, "But it's only 200 more. Like, why is..." And she's like, "What's going on?" I said, "No, listen, I was in this other agency yesterday, and I was just asking that information, and the person just almost kicked me out of the place." And she was like, "Oh, this is strange. That's rude." I was like, "Yeah, listen." And then she's like, "Can you ask you a question?" I said, "Yes." She's like, "Are you a singer?" I'm like, "Yes, why?" She's like, "Oh, Kaysha, you Kaysha? I love your music. Oh my God, I dance kizomba, da 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 da. My name is Magda, da da da." Very nice woman, amazing. And she's like, "Oh, listen, around 900 to 1,000, I can find you something. 800 for 2-bedroom, it's complicated." And I'm like, "Yeah, listen, of course, no problem." And I tell her, "Listen, I can pay a whole year. At 1,000 is gonna be what, 12,000? I can pay a whole year." And she's like, "Oh, I think I can find you something 900, 950. I'm like, "Yeah, listen, whatever it is, I used to have a lot of the money from YouTube. I was not even touching it at that time, and I was still doing a lot of shows. So all the money from YouTube that was going from the channel, it was just staying in my account. And I had the money from Spotify and the distribution. All that was staying also in the account. So I had enough money to pay for 1 or 2 years or even 3 years. So I go to Thailand, and I stay in Thailand maybe, I would say, for 10 days, I think. And while I'm in Thailand, I receive an email from Magda. "Hey, Kay, here are 4 or 5 places that when you come back, I'm picking you up in Owedash, and we can visit them." I'm like, "Wow." So I look at the places, I look at all the different places, and I'm like, "Wow, this is okay, interesting." Like, and she has like, "There's a 100 meter square, you will love it, da 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 da. It's a little expensive, but hey, listen, this is a neighborhood, blah 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 blah, but everything is around 900 to 950. And I'm like, "Listen, in Paris, I used to pay 1,000 for 50 meter square. So if I can have 100 meter square for 950, it's a no-brainer for me." So we come, we visit a place in this building downstairs. We visit 2 places in some new building more after the bridge. We visit another one not far from the Vasco da Gama shopping center. We visit a few places. There's nothing that really like that I feel like, yeah, this is home, you know. And she's like, so the one that Danny was telling me in Cristiano Ronaldo's mother's place. I visit one apartment there too. It was at the first floor. I like to live around over the second floor, preferably 3, 4, 5. But it was nice. It was okay, but I didn't like the bathroom. The bathrooms were very small, and the building was. You could see that it was a nice building, but it was built maybe 20 years ago. And then I visit this building that was built like 10 years ago, I think. That belonged to somebody who lives in China, in Hong Kong, actually. And she tell me, I think this is the one that you will like, and I save it for best. I save it for last because I know this one, you will like it. And I visit this place. And I look at the size of the living room, the size of the kitchen, the view of the terrace is Alameda dos Oceanos, which is the avenue that goes straight to the shopping center. I see from the bedroom, you can see the river, you can see the Myriad Hotel, and I have 2 big bedrooms, bathroom, and I look at the apartment and I'm like, yes, this is the one. I love it. And she's like, well, listen, if you love it, we're gonna talk with the owner, just have some documents proving what you do as for your work, how much money you make, etc. You know, the usual thing. And I said, yeah, tell the owner that if he agrees to have me as a tenant, I'm paying 2 months advance plus 1 year rent straight. So then the same night, she was like, the owner agrees. So I was like, okay. As soon as we signed the deal, I'll pay him 1 year of rent. So the same night I had the contract, we signed. She brings some champagne, we celebrate, we listen to some kizomba, and sign the contract. I wire 14 months of rent to the owner, and I have my new place. I have my keys. So at that time, the place is completely empty. But in the other place, I already had this sofa that I'm gonna change. This sofa, I had this sofa for 10 years now, all white. I'm gonna buy a new one probably. I was supposed to buy it last week, but I just bought the new Mac. That is crazy. So, but in a few, I'm gonna buy a new one. But I had that sofa, leather, white sofa, beautiful. I had my TV, the 2 TVs, the one from the bedroom and this one. I had them for 10 years. They're still working, 65-inch, amazing quality. I'm just waiting for them to stop working to buy some new ones. And I had my office that I built. I drew it myself, and I had somebody build it for me. And so I was like, okay, I have to bring everything I have already in the other place. I just need to bring everything and then I'll buy the rest of the furniture, because I'm gonna need a second bed since but I brought I already had everything I had in the other place. So the bed, furniture, TVs, etc., computers. I just had to have a moving team to bring me to the new place. So so when I move from a place to another, usually I try to have a month of rent in both places, so that while I'm moving to one, I can still be in the other one. So in the last week, I would come here all the time to check with electricity guys, all the things that need to be done, put the cable, put everything, so that when I get in, I'm just in. And on the other one, I hired some people to. Oh, bro, I'm not about to buy it. I bought it already. I'm gonna talk about it. So, at the last week, I have a team, a company, to bring everything from the old apartment to the new apartment, right? So, cool. People are starting to move everything, though in the morning, I'm in the other place. And so I wait for them at 8 a.m. They start packing everything. I have my cleaning lady that comes to clean up the house after them. I have some people to paint the walls, immaculate, like if nobody was there, and do the last cleaning. I want to leave the place just like if nobody was ever there. That's how I like to leave a place when I move. So once everything has moved, I take a taxi to the new place, and the people tell me they're gonna do a lunch break, and at 2 p.m. they will start unpacking everything. And so they come, they unmake everything, and then they remake everything in your house. They take everything that's in the wall, they put it in the wall again, like top-notch service. So now I have a taxi drop me in my street, and I'm in my new apartment waiting for people to arrive. And I have I open the windows, etc. And what up, Ezekiel? And as I'm waiting for the crew to come, I stay in the street to welcome them, right? And so I'm there chilling in the street, and the team of movers all arrive. So there's like 2 trucks full of stuff. So they start unpacking my sofa. So this beautiful white sofa is leather sofa is coming out of the truck with you have 20 people, a lot of ants taking stuff going in and out of the apartment. And me, I'm just there downstairs talking on the phone with my best friend or somebody like that. And I realize that in front of me, in my house, so my house is on that side of the street, and in the other side of the street, there's the Era agency, the first agency where I went and where that woman was rude. And I'm like, wait a minute, because the first time I went was night, so I don't remember, but now it's the day. And the first thing I realized is that at the end of my street, there's the water. So I'm like, wow, this is nice. And then I'm like, hey, isn't that the agency where? And because there's the trucks and a lot of people watching. What up, MJ? Because there's a lot of people, there's some curious people. The people from the agency come out to see who's moving in. And that woman comes out, and she looks at me, and listen, those people, they know, and Magda from the other agency, so the competition, they all know each other. So she says hi to the person, and because sometimes they probably have the same apartments or whatever, the first one who wins, whatever. So I think she knew which apartment I got, and she probably knows how much it costs in that building where I live. So she looked at me, and I look at her like, hey bitch,